Welcome to beautiful Cypress Gardens, home of the greatest show on water, with your host, Ed McMahon. Johnson, the world's largest selling outboard. And Champion, the world's fastest spark plug on land and sea. Take great pride in presenting the greatest show on water at Cypress Gardens. And now, your host for the next 60 minutes of spectacular action, Ed McMahon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Florida's Cypress Gardens and the greatest show on water. In it, you'll see some of the most beautiful, most daring, most unusual acts on water you have ever seen. Now, we've all watched water skiing. But what you're about to see is something you've never seen before. Coming into the center circle right now are two of the young stars who are going to show you where it's really at when it comes to water skiing. You know, each year millions upon millions of us strap on a pair of slats and go water skiing. But you can bet there aren't too many of us that can get away with antics like these. It's called trick skiing, and along with jumping and slalom, both of which you'll see a little later on in the show, is one of the three events that make up tournament skiing. It looks something like trying out the kids' latest dance steps while skidding along over the waves at 20 miles per hour, only about 10 times tougher. You can see why there aren't many trick ski experts in the over 30 crowd. They call this kind of skiing slalom. And to show us what it's all about, we have Liz Allen, 5-time Master Champion, Grand Slam World Champion, and member of the U.S. National Water Ski Team. Slalom is Norwegian for skiing in a wavy path. And water skiers like Liz make that wavy path more interesting by using just one ski. None of that two-ski slalom stuff for them. You'll have to admit, this is real poetry in motion.
My dad, Colonel Bill Allen, started me water skiing when I was 5 years old. And I've never really lost that love of the sport. I just naturally took to the water right from the beginning. I started competing in national tournaments when I was 10 years old. But I guess my real love is the slalom. I think it's more feminine than some of the others. It takes a lot of strength to cut hard enough to make the buoy, but it also requires balance and poise and precision. I think that's what appeals to me most, the smooth, flowing motion and sweep of a well-executed run. It's a rhythm, almost like dancing to me. Gives me a wonderful sense of freedom. And I guess I just love water skiing.
Thank you, Liz. That was beautiful. Just beautiful. We'll be right back to Cypress Gardens and the greatest show on water right after this word from Johnson Motors. You know, water skis come in all shapes and sizes these days. But there's always the guy who just doesn't believe in using such modern conveniences. Like Buster McCallum. He goes for kicks skiing along at 35 miles per hour on nothing but his sore, bare feet. Let's see that jump out again, Buster. How about once more? Great, just great. This is definitely no time for ticklish toes.
I started water skiing when I was 8 and made my first barefoot ride when I was about 12 years old. The first time you try barefoot water skiing, you don't make it, of course, but you keep trying and you keep falling, do a lot of swimming, and eventually you put it all together. You find yourself skiing right on your bare feet. That's when all the spills and the sore necks make it seem all worthwhile.
Oh yes, if skiing this way isn't your bag, you can always try it backwards. And on one foot.
Human foot is not the best design device for traveling smoothly through the water. So when you're skiing along barefooted, your feet are throwing an awful lot of spray up at you. I think probably the toughest barefoot trick to do is the front to back turn. I'm not just saying it's the toughest because I was the first guy to do it, but any skier who's tried it probably will agree with me that there's more skill and timing, and these are the things that are needed for this turn. There's a sense of accomplishment when you jump out of the skis and you hit the water and you stay on your feet, and that's hard to beat. Even if you do it all the right way, you still get awfully wet.
One of the most thrilling parts of the water skiing scene is the jumping. Now, blasting off this ramp at 50 miles an hour, our skiers make like birds as they go downrange 150 feet. Now, when you consider that the Wright brothers' first flight was about 70 feet, you get to wondering what Wilbur and Orville would have thought of all this. Gadzooks! I think I'll depart on the first vessel out of here.
I'm Jimmy Jackson, and when you compare me to big guys like Joker Osborne on my left or Wayne Anderson, you can see why they call me the Flea. Well, I suppose I like the jumping best of all. There's this tremendous feeling of flight. And when you first leave that wake, it's just like looking at a big barn door. In fact, this thing, it's out there in the middle of the water, and it's staring up at you, and you look at it. You drive on up through the jump, and it lifts you. It just throws you, just like someone picked you up and threw you 150 feet. It's one of the most tremendous sensations I've ever felt, and it's almost like you can go on forever and ever, and you know, you just stay up there. It's a great feeling. Jumping with different skiers alongside of you, it's a different thing altogether. The jump ramp is crowded, and the timing is difficult. You have to have a lot of confidence in the guys next to you. And I guess this is why I like working with Wayne and Joker. We've learned each other's style and timing. We've learned what each person can do, and we learn our own as well. And I guess that's probably why I like jumping best of all. And surprisingly, I look forward to it every day. I get charged up and I get turned on to go out and jump.
There's no doubt jumping like that is an exciting way to water ski. Oops. We'll be right back with the greatest show on water after this word from the Champion Spark Plug Company. If you're 21-year-old Alan Kenton and already have won 2 coveted world titles, it's just not exciting enough. So you develop a new jumping technique, one that gives you a really different look at the world.
I really like the challenge of a new trick. The work you have to put in until you perfect it. I guess that's why I like the somersault trick so much. It must be the hardest one I do because nobody else does it. The first time I ever tried, I was really scared. I saw I was coming up on the ramp, and I knew what I had to do, but I didn't know just quite how to do it. But I did it, and it worked. I did the flip successfully the first 4 times I tried it. But then I missed about 50 times in a row. Got discouraged at the whole thing. But I kept working on my timing, and I'm finding the best speed for the towboat, because that's very important in a trick like this, and eventually I got it all together. I suppose if I thought about every little movement I had to make, it would cross me up and I'd fall. So I just sort of go ahead and do it, and it usually works out well.
It may not be much on distance, but you've got to admit it's got a unique style all its own. Speaking of style, here comes some jokers who seem short on style, but long on nerve. This is definitely not the way to do it. Some clown stole my boat. Who said you need big ocean waves to get a good ride on a surfboard? Certainly not this couple. They're getting their ride across our inland show lake right here. Their wave, it's a boat's wake. As long as the boat keeps going, they keep riding. Surfboarding can't be any prettier, even off Waikiki. You know, skydiving is a fast-growing, exciting sport. But here at Cypress Gardens, they go about it a little differently. These skilled parachutists jump out of their airplane at more than 3,000 feet. They try to land in that small floating ring. The man that gets the most bullseyes wins the exhibition. For safety's sake, each contestant has a quick release on his chute. And where's the safety vest? There's also plenty of pickup boats in the drop area. There's a bullseye. And another. This one looks close. No, a little gust of wind pushed him just off target. There are a lot of things to consider in this sport. The position of the plane, the wind, the temperature, the water's surface, and of course whether that big old parachute up there will cooperate when the ripcord is pulled. Put it all together and you get a ringer. Leave something out though and you get awfully wet without having anything to show for your swim. But if you like the air and the water, and you're looking for an interesting way to get from one to the other, then try target skydiving. Just make sure there's a soft lake down there before you jump, and that you know what you're doing before you do it. You wouldn't think that the world's greatest show on water would take place over 500 feet in the air, but it actually does. You see that dot way up there in the sky? That's Cypress Gardens' own Jerry Welsh, one of the world's great water skiing kite flying champions. Jerry, you've got to be the zaniest kite flyer since Ben Franklin. Just what's going on up there?
This rig I'm hanging on to is something brand new. It's called a delta wing kite, and it's really a ball to fly. It's aerodynamically designed to glide by itself. Of course, I need a towboat to climb up to release altitude. But once I reach altitude, I can release the tow line and glide back down to the water with a little luck, because landing this thing on hard ground is definitely not the way to do it.
How do you know that thing's gonna go where you aim it?
I steer the kite by shifting my weight around in this bar I'm hanging from. And if I don't hit any wind gusts or downdrafts, I can land this thing just about any place I choose.
Jerry, we're coming up on the half-hour break in the show. Would you mind staying up there a little longer?
Okay, Ed. No problem at all. I'll just buzz around up here until you get back.
We'll be right back in the second half of the greatest show on water after station identification. We're back with champion Delta Wing kite flyer Jerry Welsh, soaring high over Florida's Lake Eloise. Jerry, thanks for waiting for us up there.
That's all right, Ed. No sweat. In fact, while you were gone, I found a nice updraft out here over Lake Eloise. I should really be able to fly this thing for you now. Man, this is really living. And you ought to try this sometime. You'll love it. No pilot like you would find himself right at home up there. We're heading up into the wind now. I better get ready to release the tow line.
Well, this certainly ought to be well worth watching. You know, if old Ben could see you now.
And down I come. It looks like I picked just about the right point for my release. I can see you standing down there at the end of the dock. And I should be landing right in front of the stadium.
Oh, that is fantastic. Wow. Hey, Jerry, come on over here. Hey, Jerry, that was sensational.
Thanks, Ed.
Listen, on behalf of Ben Franklin and Charlie Brown and all the other kite flyers, best wishes on that one.
Thank you. Say, can I take a look at that kite you got
Yeah, go
there?
ahead. There's a little bit of a breeze. Try it. There you go. Look. Well, that's showbiz. Remember a little earlier in the show when barefoot water skier Buster McCallum explained that the human foot isn't really the best designed thing in the world for skiing across water? Well, here come some guys to show us that Buster really knows what he's talking about. Whether you try it from one side to the other, whether you prefer a twisting underwater getaway, or a spectacular back-to-front leaping start. On just one foot, or if you feel lonely out there and just want some company. Water skiing without water skis is still a very wet, very difficult way to go about it. But it's also fun and exciting. At least that's what these guys tell me. As for myself, I think I'd just as soon be up here in the stands watching, where it's a lot more comfortable and much, much drier. The greatest show on water would not be complete without some mention of the thousands upon thousands of still pictures and movies that have been made here since the gardens first opened back in the 1930s. What makes such great photography possible? Well, let's peek behind the scenes and watch a production crew in action. This odd-looking sea serpent coming up at us right now is Miss Covergirl IV. She's been called the ship that launched 1,000 faces in recognition of the many pretty girls that were first photographed from her decks and platforms. Captain of Miss Covergirl is Dick Pope Sr., creator and founder of Cypress Gardens. Here's the Swami of the swamp himself, lining up some aquamaids for a ballet session before our cameras. Miss Covergirl can pull a full squad of skiers, plus a load of photographers and equipment, across the lake at 45 miles per hour, while providing a perfect viewpoint for every camera. High, low, in between, or on a speeding cross bridge, 25 feet above the deck. And that's what I call complete coverage. Miss Covergirl, along with a crew of shutterbugs that will hang by their toes if need be, proved that the garden's reputation for getting the picture that couldn't be taken of the thing that couldn't be done is well-deserved indeed. Okay, enough of our look behind the scenes. Let's see what happens when we get it all together in front of the camera. Then there's the ballet, Cypress Gardens style. Here we have 7 lovely aquamaids zipping along on 7 slim water skis. This is precision water skiing at its most beautiful best. Whether you like your skiers in a straight line, or staggered, if you excuse the expression, or in a good old V for victory salute, you'll have to admit this synchronized dancing on water skis is a thrilling, beautiful spectacle to watch. Now, here's one version of the pyramid I'll bet the Egyptians never thought of. Ah, yes, bit of golf. Now they're playing my game. Remember, keep your head down. Eye on the ball. Now that's one. Temper, temper. He didn't even replace his divot. Hey, they can't do that. If you think all this skiing and kite flying is exciting, hang on. You're about to see the finale of our show. The most exciting and daring boat drivers in the world. Our 10-man team, the Stingers, are the best in the business. And you're about to see why. You know, these guys are really pros. And what they're doing here is definitely not recommended for the average boater. Their driving skills are amazing. And their boats are specially equipped for safety. Each driver wears a Coast Guard approved life jacket and protective helmet, and the motor turns off automatically in case of trouble. Watch closely. Now we're about to see why all these precautions are necessary. And here's a tricky thread-the-needle maneuver, dedicated to that famous seamstress, Betsy Ross. This is one time they aim to miss. You can see why they call this one a bomb burst. If one of these boats happened to get to that marker a little late, it could be very, very embarrassing. All you ice skaters should recognize this one. It's the figure 8, Stinger version. Wow. These guys should have their pilot's licenses. They're really flying those boats. You can see why driving like this is best left to the pros. Stunt driving like this takes skill, courage, and a great deal of practice. A good boat and motor helps, too. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing, unbelievably death-defying aquatic jumping boats. Watch with trepidation as these crazy daredevils vicariously guide their craft over the high jumping ramps beyond. There's not enough money in the East to get me in a boat like that. That's our show, folks. I sure hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining us here at Florida's Cypress Gardens for the greatest show on water. This is Ed McMahon, for all of us saying thank you.
The greatest show on water at Cypress Gardens has been brought to you by Johnson, the world's largest selling outboard. And Champion, the world's fastest spark plug on land and sea.
Thank you.